Allahu, 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 Allah. Allahu, 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 Allah. Allahu, Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You're listening to the Quranic Reflection Show on Inspire FM. You're joined by myself, Waqas Mirza, and Sheikh Noorud-deen Rashid. We were talking about moon sighting earlier, and we were talking about using astronomical method, and we found that generally it's rejected by majority of scholars. Just wanted to ask Sheikh, is this the only case where science is rejected or expert opinion is rejected, or are there other examples?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi yassir wa in ya kareem. So yes, this is a very, very important question, and I tried to highlight this earlier, and I want to reiterate it and maybe give an example or two as well. Okay, that generally speaking, it is the case that we accept expert opinion and knowledge, but there are cases when it comes to law, Islamic law, that either we are, we don't look at expert opinion, or even we're not concerned with, what's the absolute reality of what's going on. We have the sacred law and we follow it, inshallah ta'ala. These examples are the exception, not the rule. Once again, anybody who's familiar with Islamic law will be very clear on these points, inshallah ta'ala. There are many, many things where, even if, you can be proved this way or that way, we're not really interested in that. We have a legal ruling that we want to establish, inshallah ta'ala, because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to do. And as I said, these examples are the exception, not the rule. Normally, yes, we look at expert opinion and we'll go by what they say, inshallah ta'ala. But a famous example of this is with regards to establishing parentage for a person. I'm not going to go through the full hadith. I'm going to just summarize it. It's a little bit long, but I will give the reference, inshallah. This hadith is in Sahih Bukhari, in many places in Bukhari, but amongst them hadith number 4303. Okay, this hadith speaks about the parentage of a child. Okay, it's an unfortunate scenario, but since it's a famous example of this, I will just briefly go over it. So there was a Sahabi whose brother unfortunately had illicit relations with a woman, and she delivered a child. Okay, and he had said to the Sahabi that that's my son, meaning your nephew, because he's speaking to his brother, and take care of him. Okay, I want you to take care of him. But this was a child through illicit relations. Okay, so when that Sahabi went to take the child so he could take care of him, the child's brother, okay, because as I said, these were illicit relations, so the woman who gave birth to this child, she was married to a man, okay, and that man had another son who's the brother of this, potentially illegitimate child. Okay, so the brother said, no, he's my brother, I'm going to take care of him. Okay, because by law he's his brother. It's his father was the husband of this lady who gave birth. So we have this famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. I'm just going to jump to the end of the hadith before I come back to a bit more explanation, where the Prophet ﷺ said, and we have multiple hadith like this, and in this hadith it says it as well, al-waladu lil-firash wa lil-ahir al-hajar. Okay, that the child is for the husband. This is not literal translation, it's the meaning of it. The child is for the husband, and the person who commits zina is to be stoned. Okay. So the point is, and this is what the Prophet ﷺ upheld here. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ told the Sahabi who wanted to take the child, okay, and take care of him because it was his brother's illegitimate child. He told him that no, you are not responsible for him. You cannot take care of him. And his brother, okay, in legal terms, Biologically, no, but in legal terms, his brother, he was told that yes, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Huwa laka huwa akhuk ya Abdullah ya Abd ibn Zam'a." No, this is what the Prophet ﷺ said to the brother. He's yours. He is your brother. Okay. Now, a very important point in this hadith is this narration of the hadith is very, very clear. Okay, that the child itself. I'll quote the Arabic for those. Some of our listeners may be familiar with Arabic. فَإِذَا أَشْبَهُ النَّاسِ بِعُتْبَةِ ibn Abi Waqqas. Okay, the hadith says that baby was of incredibly close resemblance to Utbah ibn Abi Waqqas, who's the one who had this legitimate child. So that's the point. In the hadith itself, it makes it very clear that in terms of resemblance and such things, he resembled the illegitimate father. Yet his parentage was established to the father by sacred law. Okay, this is one example. There are a handful of examples, but this is one example of where even though the scientific, or in this case biological reality might be such and such, okay, the law says we're going to do it this way. Okay, similarly with moon sighting, according to the majority, okay, they say okay, fine, the actual moon might have been possible to observe at this time or not possible at this time. We're going to go with the methodology that the Prophet ﷺ established, which is people go sight the moon, they go to the judge questions them and verifies whether they've sighted it or not, and he gives the decree, and as soon as he gives his decree, that's it. That's what we're going to go by. So this is very, very important. I would encourage people to, look into this issue further. There are a number, I won't say lots and lots, but there are a number of examples in sacred law where Sharia says that, okay, on this issue, legally speaking, we're going to do things like this. And once again, those listeners who are familiar with Islamic law, I would definitely direct them to the chapters on things like iddah and like the fiqh of menstruation and such things. With regards to especially the fiqh of menstruation, we have explicit hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where it's making it quite clear that we're going to have this particular rule for it, even though medically speaking something might be different. Actually, I'll just briefly quote this hadith. This is in Bukhari, hadith number 228, where the Prophet a lady came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she said that she kind of bleeds continuously. She bleeds for a long time. And the Prophet ﷺ said to her, okay, just go ahead and purify yourself and pray your prayer. Okay. Why? It doesn't mean that medically the Prophet ﷺ was giving a medical answer that you are not in a state of menstruation. Okay. But the Prophet ﷺ is telling her how we're going to look at this legally. Okay. Legally, it's fine for you to go ahead and pray your salah and do your ibadat, or required for you to go ahead and pray your salah and do your ibadat, even though she may well medically be considered in a state of menstruation. There are lots of examples there are a number of examples regarding this. It is quite a detailed, complicated issue, but I just wanted to point this out, that this is not absolutely unique to moon sighting. There are issues where the sacred law said, look, fine, we accept, we acknowledge, okay, that might be the case, but according to the law, we're going to do things in this particular way.
So we've spoken about valid differences of opinion. There are some incorrect arguments that people put forth. Maybe you want to touch upon those and why they're incorrect.
Yeah, so as I said, we have a valid difference of opinion with regards to local or global sighting. We also have valid difference of opinion. In both cases, it seems to be majority and minority. That doesn't mean that they're not valid, okay? But valid difference of opinion. Some said we will look at calculations and we're going to give that consideration. No problem whatsoever. Follow that opinion. Khair, if you want to, go ahead, inshallah. But as mentioned before, you have no right to attack others. But there are things which are said which have no basis in Quran, Hadith, or in fiqh in any way whatsoever. And these are worth pointing out. Some people will say, oh, we should follow Saudi Arabia because the Kaaba is there. There is no opinion that says follow Saudi Arabia. The opinions are local and global. Yes, it tends to be the case nowadays that the first sighting is in Saudi and usually some other countries as well. That's fine. Okay, but there's nothing that says, oh, you follow Arabia or you follow Mecca Sharif or Medina Sharif because the Kaaba is there. Okay, and some, another argument that in Medina Sharif, for example, they started fasting this day, or they done Eid on this day, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ is buried there. How is it conceivable that they could do Eid on the wrong day, or they could, do fast? They fast on the wrong day. Well, the Prophet ﷺ's Mubarak grave is right there. It's not conceivable, for example. Again, we appreciate the kind of love and adab people are showing to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. It's very important, and to the Kaaba, house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Kaaba of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's nothing in Quran or Hadith or in fiqh to support this. Okay, so we say, mashallah, it's nice. We should have immense love and respect for the Prophet ﷺ, but the Prophet ﷺ never taught us this. The Prophet ﷺ never ever said to us, look, whatever's happening in Medina Sharif in any way whatsoever, be it moon sighting or other things, then that's what you always follow. No. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam Muhammad. So, these are arguments put forward on one side. On the other side, you have arguments put forward as well. People, sometimes they say, oh, the Saudi scholars themselves, they say, don't follow us, do your own local sighting, which is fine. Okay, Saudi scholars who say that, that's fine. That's their opinion. Okay, we're not. At no point in our discussion today have I said, Hanafi say this, Maliki say this, Hanbali say this, Shafi say this, and Saudi say this, or Turks say this, or Syrians say this. That's not part of our discussion. As in our tradition, as Ahl Sunnah, the opinions we consider are for the four madhabs. I, as a Hanafi, don't follow global sighting because the Saudis or the Turks or the Algerian scholars say so. I follow it because it's the opinion of the Hanafi madhab, okay, which not just me, but we as an ummah believe is a correct interpretation of Quran and Hadith. That's what's meant by following a madhab. When you follow a madhab, it's not like you're not following Quran and Hadith anymore. You are following an interpretation of Quran and Hadith, and we believe with fiqh there are four correct interpretations. So that's nonsensical, and people really need to stop repeating things like that. And just like the other things I mentioned, need to stop repeating things. There's also a lot of fake news essentially that goes around. One in particular that's been revived this year is, the Saudis have admitted they've made a mistake and they're going to give kafara for everybody. Okay, anybody who has any learning in fiqh is going to know that that's just absurd. Okay, and anybody who knows anything about news and information, you need to check things. Okay, first of all, if that was the case, then I'm sure the first people to be aware of it would be the people living in Saudi Arabia. Okay, I know people who live in Saudi Arabia. I asked one of them, and said no such thing whatsoever. Okay, and also it'd be on their official government website. Okay, don't have it. People don't check. They just, because it supports their position, they just forward it. But just think about it. First of all, you should verify information. Secondly, just think about it from a perspective of fiqh. Certainly in the Hanafi madhab, there is no such thing as paying kafara for missing a fast. Kafara is paid for starting a fast and then breaking it. Okay. Secondly, the kafara is not monetary. Kafara is to fast 60 continuous days. And if you are not able to, then it's a monetary payment. And even then, if it does go to monetary payment, you need to pay. Not some foreign government somewhere just pays on your behalf. It's completely nonsensical, and anybody who has knowledge of fiqh knows that this is incorrect. Other things that I hear sometimes people say, in Saudi Arabia, they don't even sight the moon. Okay. They don't even sight the moon. They've just got a calendar and they go by the calendar. Okay, I would say to such people, please make up your mind. At times you're saying they don't even sight the moon. Other times you're saying, oh, they sight the moon, but they get it wrong. Other times you're saying they cited it, they got it wrong, and they're going to pick apart everybody. You see, it's, these kind of things we need to stay away from. Okay, and just one or two last points regarding it. Sometimes people say, oh, whenever it's scientifically impossible, which we'll come to in a moment anyway, okay, then it's only Saudi Arabia who seem to sight the moon. Why is it only Saudi Arabia, okay, that sight the moon? Why doesn't anybody else sight it? I don't know about previous years, but certainly this year, this is not the case. Okay, this year, from the reports I know of myself, and reports I've tried my absolute best to verify, and I feel confident with regards to their verification. The United Arab Emirates announced they sighted the moon. They didn't announce we are following the Saudi sighting, and they didn't announce that, there's been a sighting. They said we sighted the moon. Okay, and they explained, and they said that we sighted it through a telescope first, and then after identifying it, we looked for it. Okay, Nigeria, they announced that they sighted the moon. Mauritania announced that they sighted the moon, and they have a YouTube video where they explain it, and they mention the various parts of the country where it was sighted. Algeria done something almost exactly the same. They released a YouTube video and they cited the places, they mentioned the places where it was sighted. Okay, so this may be true at times, I don't know, but certainly this year this is not true. Okay, this is absolutely not true. So this year, I don't know, personally, I've seen this year people seem to have made even more of an issue this year than previous years. Really, every single year I come across people, kind of attacking each other and fighting about it. Even people call it moon wars nowadays. They've given it a name. It's become so common, but it just seems to have been even more intense this particular year, and I don't understand why. For many reasons. First of all, as I said, the fiqh and the hadith don't allow you to fight and argue against this, about this, sorry. Take whichever position you like, but just don't fight with each other. And secondly, you have a lot of countries this time that have not, there are many other countries who, done Eid on Tuesday, but, I don't know whether they done their own sighting or they were just following Saudi. These number of countries I'm mentioning are those who actually announced that we sighted it ourselves. Now,
just moving on a little, a lot of people, when they're talking about moon sighting and astronomical calculations, they talk about visibility charts. How reliable are they?
Yeah, so this is important, and I want to speak a little bit about visibility charts because it seems that they are kind of presented and promoted more than anything else. Okay, I know there are other factors, and we'll touch upon those as well, inshallah ta'ala, but visibility charts seem to be, these are those world maps with, colored areas and such things. People seem to present these as if they are absolute scientific fact. And they also seem to, and the way people comment on them, they say, the astronomers are saying this, the astronomers are saying that. Okay, and this is a problem. Okay? We've already discussed whether you can even use that as an argument or not, and the majority don't. But even if you're going to go with the minority, I would say two things. First of all, don't attack the others, because they are majority who are not who may not be considering calculations. We'll see they are giving it some consideration. We'll see that in a moment. Okay, but secondly, I would say, look, just be accurate. Okay. The astronomers is, one astronomer who represents all of them in the world. Okay, and this is a point which is often missed. The al-Qura calendar is established by who? It's not established by just ulama, or it's not established by people who've got no idea. It's established by astronomers working together with ulama. Okay, and yes, some astronomers may differ. Khair, no problem, inshallah ta'ala. But it's not the astronomers all agree it's wrong. They have their astronomers. I remember until, fairly recent times, people used to always say with regards to the astronomers in Saudi Arabia, oh, they're no good, or, they're this or they're that, or, they're not very educated, or that kind of thing. Just because it's, Middle East, obviously the astronomers can't be knowledgeable in the Middle East. How dare we even consider them to be skilled in any way whatsoever? But then what happened then? Turkey, a few years ago, they decided that they're going to set up their own separate independent lunar calendar. And this is one of the difference between Turkey and Saudi, which kind of feeds into a discussion that we were just speaking about, is with Turkey, to my knowledge, they don't base it on sighting. Okay, they've got their calendar and they just stick to that. Okay, whereas Saudi, they've got their calendar, but they will adjust their calendar based on sighting, and that's another kind of issue people raise at time. Or they just follow their calendar. I would advise people who have that belief, just follow it. Every time Ramadan comes round, Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha comes round, just have a look at the calendar, the al-Qura calendar, and see whether they go against it or not. In my experience, I've been monitoring this for 3-4 years now. There's information online as well, what people can have a look at it, inshallah. That, in my experience, about 30% of the time, they go against their calendar. No. So just to mention, since I've spoken about this, some of the things I've quoted and I'm going to quote now, especially some of the things I'm going to quote now, we will put them up on the internet probably in a week or so's time. They will be available at www.islamichometuition, all one word, .co.uk, okay, including what I've just mentioned now, inshallah ta'ala. So, yes, are these visibility charts scientific fact? Absolutely not. Okay, I personally emailed somebody here in the Nautical Almanac office here in the UK, HM Nautical Almanac office, Dr. Stephen Bell, and I asked him this question directly: that, you know, are these, what these charts saying, are they scientific fact? Okay, and this was part of his response. We'll put the full response up on the website, inshallah. He said they are not absolute scientific fact, as they cannot factor in local phenomena such as meteorological conditions and eyesight of the observer. I would describe them as our best estimate in predicting where the crescent moon sighting is likely to take place. This was his comment. I remember, I think it was yourself when you spoke about it. You said this seems to be similar to the weather. That, you know, people, the experts, they can predict the weather to a great degree of accuracy, but not absolute. No. Also, there's, and we'll put this information up. You have the United States Naval Observatory. They comment on these charts as well. They said the following: although the date and time of each new moon can be computed exactly, the visibility of the lunar crescent as a function of the moon's age, the time counted from new moon, depends upon many factors and cannot be predicted with certainty. This is tackling a slightly different issue, which is, some people say, oh, the new moon must have been born and around for so many hours for it to be visible. Okay, these are experts. Okay, these are not Saudis or Turks, which unfortunately for some reason we've got no confidence in them whatsoever. They're astronomers, but you know, they can't be correct in any way. But these are astronomers, okay, and they're saying that you can't fix it like that. You can't say it has to have been born and around for this many hours. You can't do so. They further explained the prediction of the first sighting of the early crescent moon is an interesting problem because it simultaneously involves a number of highly non-linear effects. Stated in less technical language, many things are changing very rapidly. It's very, very difficult to predict such things. Okay, the Utrecht University from the Netherlands, they've got quite a lot of research on their website regarding lunar calendars and visibility and such things, and they also comment on this. They say, and this is from their website, also note that these maps, they're speaking about the visibility charts, are based on the Yallop algorithm and may differ from similar maps found on other websites when they use different visibility criteria. Okay. They also mentioned, gave the following caution: a cautionary note on using the global lunar crescent visibility maps. Note that these world maps are only indicative and assume average observing conditions near sea level. In rare cases of exceptional atmospheric transparency, such as can be found in dry desert-like regions. And this is important, okay, because, you know, that's what we're speaking about, sightings from those kind of regions, and at high altitude it may be possible to view the lunar crescent outside of the nominal visibility zones. Okay, there are other quotes. I'm not going to quote everybody. There's a quote here from Dr. D. McNally, London University Observatory. I'll just quote just the highlighted points here. He said, no, I'll just quickly quote him completely. Where the observatory scientists have been able to set a standard by which you can be certain of the evening when a new moon will appear, then I am afraid the answer is no. One can specify a certain angle, but there is always just a chance that someone with particularly keen sight in a particularly steady and clear atmosphere might be able to detect the moon prior to its reaching its stationary position. And a final comment from him when he was asked about this. I am sorry to say there is no scientific way, I think, in which the requirements of Islam can be met at the moment. Okay.
I think we're going to have to take a break here because we're running out of time. So see you after the break.